You're listening to the AI Moment with me, Jonathan Wagstaff.
And me, Danny Denhard.
And Dan, what are we going to talk about this time?
We've got a mailbag episode today, and essentially it's a question that I think is coming up more and more. It's how do we prevent low quality AI from creeping into the team's work or the company's work? And to set it up a little bit more, I think when team members are using AI, they're either using it to complete a task and it's just task done, or they're moving towards AI helping them. So something that I've observed and people have talked to me around is how AI is doing the job, but not at the level or the quality that people would want. So I think they're two good points to bounce off. Do you want to kick off and I'll add in?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, in some ways, this is adjacent to the pod we did recently on lazy outreach, right? Where we're saying that people are using AI to generate outreach assets and then not really checking them. And it's very, very obvious when you receive that kind of asset. One of the things I talk about when I run workshops is I talk about AI sheep and AI lions. And AI sheep, I fear, are more than 80% of AI users right now. And they do exactly what you just talked about. You know, I'll give the questions to AI, I'll take whatever the AI gives me and I'll pump that out. And there's not much point in doing that, is there? There's not much point in you being there if that's what you're going to do. The AI lions are the people who are really going to win with this stuff. And they, for me, are the people who say, instead of using AI to do my thinking for me, I'm going to use AI to challenge my thinking. I'm going to use it to help me think more deeply. I'm going to use it to help me be better at what I do. I'm going to push back on the answers it gives me. I'm going to go backwards and forwards as if it was a colleague rather than a computer. So I'm going to debate with it as it gives me the answers until we get to an answer I'm happy with that can go forward with my name on it. And I think the onus is on people to be lions rather than sheep, because that's where you win with this stuff. From a career point of view, that's where you win with this stuff. I think there's too many sheep out there now doing exactly what you talked about. What do you see, Dan? What's your experience?
Very similar. I think a lot of the time people are using it for the right reasons, as in, I don't know, or I need to improve X, Y, or Z. And I think exactly what you were saying is around the winners the winners of AI are the people who are challenging their thoughts and their delivery on it. And the losers are ones who are completing tasks, ticking it off, and then not necessarily understanding or learning from what it is and adding any sort of personality or professionalism or expertise on top. So I'm seeing this similar. I think a lot of the time people talk around this around cognitive offloading, and it's where you're delegating tasks. And I think actually what is becoming an issue is a lot of people are cognitively offloading and then they're putting it back in and then they're pushing it out. So a lot of the time when they're using AI, they're not really thinking around it and they're not going to second order or third order effects. And it's really hindering when something goes wrong, or they're called upon to be the expert and they don't actually talk it through. So that's something that I think is really important. And there's studies around this already where people are really losing some abilities to think for themselves or not. There's a couple of other areas that I think we've talked around the manifesto and guardrails before. So I would say if you wanted to be really proactive with it, pick the right tools. So have approved tools, have work templates that people have to, and checklists and guidelines that people have to follow. Add the guardrails to the manifesto. Really do listen back to that episode. I can't emphasize enough what good feedback we've had on it and how much I'd say that's really important. And if you're going to be using it for analysis and work like that, I would ensure that you're asking AI, what have you missed and what have you overlooked? Because if you haven't done that, it can then challenge your way of thinking as opposed to leaving you a little bit high and dry. And I've seen it on projects where you're using it, it comes out, it does a lot of analysis, but it just doesn't have that human for level of detail when it comes to what your internal company might need or what an external partner might be looking for. So there are just a couple of areas and recommendations I'd make, but again, don't have over-reliance on AI because it's only as good as either the context that you provide it or the instructions that you provide it is usually my top tips.
Yeah, and I'd say within that, I think you can do a couple of things on top of the things we've already talked about. So within that context of an AI manifesto, if it's appropriate for your business, then create an AI style guide, and include in that AI style guide approved use cases and maybe some kind of best examples of what this would look like and how things would come out. So you've got things people can look at Obviously, if you see somebody doing something slack with AI and it's coming back at you and it's poor, call it out with them and say, well, this is not good enough. But back to what we were saying recently, here's where your prompt library comes in again. If you've got within your AI style guide, golden examples, you've got prompt templates for the common tasks and the kind of outputs you get expected to get back. That should be a guide for people to use to see whether they're good enough or not. And actually, one of the things I've seen is as a test on the different models is that you produce a kind of, here are 10 classic prompts in this business that we might use, and we run them against each model in turn. So with a given model of AI, say you're using ChatGPT 5, you run these 10 prompts, you see what kind of output you get. That's the kind of output you want. That goes into the style guide, but then you run them next time there's a new model, you run it again. And so you kind of constantly updating your style guide depending on as the new AI models come out, so you're getting the quality you want. So it's up to us to define what the quality is we want, to make people aware of that via a style guide, via a manifesto, via the other tools that you talked about, and then to enforce that and to call each other out on it. We help each other get better with this stuff. If we're all using the same prompt libraries, we're all encouraging each other, we're all calling each other out when we think we need to improve. That would be, the way I would view this.
Yeah, and just to add on to what you've just said, I had prompt library underscored when you're just about to start talking, so it's good that you added it. I'd say ensure that your teams do 2Vs, so it's validate what's been the output is, and then verify that it's true. So if you need to get the team to add sources in or add where their source data comes from, I think that also enables you to own it a little bit more and give the team the guardrails to remove some of this low quality AI that might be coming out. But for most occasions, I've seen people's work actually improve as opposed to decrease, basically.
The bottom line is, I was going to say, the bottom line is, as Ethan Mollick says, you've got to be the human in the loop. The bottom line is you own the output, whether you're using AI a lot, whether you're just throwing the ideas at it and taking whatever it gives you, whether you're pushing back and having the dialogue with the AI, whatever goes off your desk you've got to own that. And so take pride in your work and do that.
Exactly right. Thanks a lot for today. If you would like to send in your own questions to us, we add the email address in the show notes, which is ai@dannydanhard.com. You can drop us a message on LinkedIn if you want to have another way to contact us. Otherwise, if you subscribe to us at aimoment.co.uk or check the show notes, we have all the information and the supporting newsletter that goes out there. Thanks for listening.